We tend to picture the New Testament arriving all at once, neatly bound, neatly indexed, and completely insulated from the physical realities of history. The actual history began with a stack of loose letters, dictated in cramped Roman lodgings, sealed and carried between cities in courier saddlebags across ancient trade routes. Before the printing press was invented, these words survived 15 centuries of continuous manual replication. In an empire where literacy hovered under 10%, early copies were made by ordinary people, merchants, servants, or local physicians, working long hours by lamplight. This 1,500-year game of human replication forces a necessary question. How can we logically trust that the words on the page today match what the original authors wrote? The answer starts with a specific technological choice. Early Christians broke with the cultural norm of the scroll in favor of the codex. This format worked like an ancient spiral notebook. As you can see in this open codex, it allowed for writing on both sides of the page and quick flipping between passages during a teaching. The earliest copies were written on material harvested from fields like this, the papyrus reed. It was cheap and accessible, perfect for the informal working copies produced by amateur believers. Eventually, the church shifted to parchment, processed animal skin. It was expensive and durable, used by professional scriptoriums to produce prestige Bibles under imperial patronage. Together, the raw early papyri and the pristine later parchments provide scholars with a massive, continuous physical timeline of the text. Even with extensive physical evidence, we must confront the fact that human scribes made mistakes. These mistakes follow predictable human patterns. Because they aren't random, they leave traceable fingerprints on the page that allow us to reconstruct the transmission process. We see this in eye skips. A scribe's vision jumps to an identical word lines below, dropping everything between. Hearing errors work similarly. The Greek words for we and you sounded identical, creating dictated variations scholars map to a single source. Scribes also engaged in harmonization. A copyist who heard a passage recited 1,000 times would often correct a different version from pure muscle memory. We can track this process in Romans chapter 8. By comparing manuscripts, scholars can see where a scribe accidentally pulled a phrase from verse 4 up into verse 1. The fingerprint left by each specific error allows scholars to work backward through the manuscript tradition, systematically isolating the mistakes until they reach the original wording with high reliability. The ultimate proof of this timeline is P52, the earliest surviving physical fragment of the New Testament. The specific Greek letters preserved here allowed scholars to positively match it to the trial of Jesus before Pilate in the Gospel of John. Based on the handwriting, this fragment dates to the first half of the 2nd century, placing its creation within living memory of the original author's life. For context, the earliest surviving copies we have of Caesar's Gallic Wars were written 900 years after Caesar died. Our oldest copies of Plato have a 1,000-year blind spot. This messy, human-driven history actually defines the doctrine of preservation. Preservation happened through use. The consensus found across thousands of independent, imperfect copies provides a verifiable record of the original apostolic message.